get some money. Every day we blowing gas. Every day we in the mall. Every day we blowing cash. I do this every day. Every day I do this shit. It's just an ordinary day. Every day I get some money. Every day we blowing gas. Every day we in the mall. Every day we blowing cash. I do this every day. Every day I do this shit. It's just an ordinary day.
Hey yo, what up? It's your boy Face from Flight Skool Tv. I'm down here on 18th Street in Chicago, Illinois with my man's Kendall from Robotic Minds. If you haven't heard of the clothing line, I'm about to put you up on game because this is definitely a spot that you want to stop at if you in Chicago or the Chicago area, period. So for our audience that might not know you, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, I'm Kendall Hurns from Chicago, South Side, born and raised, entrepreneur. Been doing my thing for a few years now. Well, longer than a few years, but.
About how long you say you've been in the game? As far as like the fashion and whatnot?
Man, probably going on 10 years.
That's a good run.
Yeah. Well, actually, not just 10 years officially, but I kind of stepped off the porch and started trying to figure it out around 06.
So what was the first thing before you got into fashion? What was you doing?
Sports management.
Sports management.
One of my homies went straight from high school to the NBA, and I had the opportunity to manage him. So I skipped college and jumped right into that. Did that for about 10 years, had a ball, met a lot of people, and ended up wanting to start the brand in the midst of all of that.
Okay, so it just seems to make sense that you in the midst of all these athletes, like, is that what sparked the want to start a clothing line, or did you just always want that in the back of your mind anyway? Or was it just the opportunity presented itself?
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna front. Like I wasn't like always wanting to start a brand. I've always been into fashion and streetwear or whatever, but the idea of knowing that I was next to guys that could influence a brand if I started one,
right?
That was just like a hustler thing. I'm 2 + 2 is 4.
Right, it made sense.
It just made sense.
You already associated with these athletes and these culture influencers.
Exactly.
So if you put together a brand, whether it start off with a T-shirt or you formulate a brand, you already close to the influencers.
It just made sense, which is why I did it. Now, don't get me wrong. It was more than that. My mom was a model growing up, so I've always been inspired by like creativity and fashion, just growing up watching her. But the idea of starting a brand and having influencers was on the same. It was right there. It just made sense.
Okay, so when you started your brand, like who are the people that you looked at for like inspiration? Or like mentorship almost? Like who did you look at and be like, okay, if I create a brand, I want to kind of take a spin off that and put my spin on it and build and formulate my own lane. Like, did you have any mentors or people that you drew inspiration from?
Probably like a lot of or at that time, guys were local. Of course, Corey from Leaders.
Shout out to Corey from Leaders, man. That's a very good guy, very humble.
100%.
I always show love to him in every interview.
Yep. I saw guys like Fashion Geek Zoe and Dave Jeff.
Yes, definitely shout out to those two too, man. Two of my mentors.
Yep. So those were kind of like the guys I saw doing it, that was in front of my face to help me understand, like, this is actually a real thing. This could be done.
Right.
Like, it's not far-fetched as, seeing somebody else far away,
Right.
not really knowing what it
Right.
takes to start a brand and all
Right,
that.
seeing
stuff.
somebody start in New York,
Yeah.
you don't know, but
Yeah.
these are people that's close to you because
Yeah.
you're from Chicago. Which part of Chicago did you grow up in?
Southside. I grew up in. I spent some time on the low end, and then I moved out to the suburbs, Calumet City to be specific. So I kind of grew up around that area.
Okay, so around let's put a time frame on when you first started Robotic Minds.
06. The idea originated in 2006.
Okay, now in 2006, what would make you go with the name Robotic Minds?
To keep it 100, I found this dope looking robot in a coloring book. I was at my man's crib, and his son had his coloring book just sitting on the table, and I'm very observant, so I'm always looking at shit, and I'm on the phone, I believe, going through the pages, and I'm like, yo, this robot is pretty dope. And of course, for like legal reasons, you know, once I decided to make that the logo, I changed it up a bit, but that's how I came up with the logo.
The actual first logo of
Yeah,
Robotic
and
Minds.
I still have that page to this day.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I
dope.
ripped it out the coloring book, and I still have it to this day.
That's dope. So you just added the minds part at the end?
Dude, I honestly forgot how I came up with Robotic Minds. I mean, I'm 100% having a robot as a logo played a part, but it took me a while to kind of formulate what the logo would mean, and how it made sense.
Because I can speak from the outsider looking in.
Yeah.
Like Robotic Minds, when I hear that name, I think of people trained to think like robots, and you breaking that mold.
And
That's what come to mind from an outsider.
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's the dope part about the name and the brand itself is it always starts a conversation. It ain't never just you see it and be like, oh, okay, cool. No, it starts a conversation. Well, what does Robotic Minds mean? And a lot of people, because when you read it, it does sound like somebody that is programmed. Well, I spent it a little bit because I think it's about self-programming. You know what I'm saying? Setting a goal and, you know, whatever repetition you got to put forward to achieve that goal, it's robotic. It's a pattern, you know, of kind of the same thing. Like use a ball player for an example. You got to shoot that same jump shot over and over again. So it's robotic. And it's mental because you got to program that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how you come up with Robotic Minds.
Which is really dope, because the first time I discovered your brand was, I had seen it online. You know, I'm from the south side of Chicago, around the same area. And I had saw it online, somebody was wearing it and gave you a shout out. But then a family member of mine has been rocking it since day one.
Dope.
And always been trying to put me out, put me on to your brand. Shout out to JB. You know what I'm saying? He always been trying to put me on, like, hey, you need to go shop over here. You know what I'm saying? But a few times I drove past the store and I drove right past it. So if people don't know, not familiar with the brand, it's easy to drive right past the store and miss it.
And see, that's the other cool part about the brand. Like, I'm not your typical brick and mortar store. You know what I'm saying? You got to walk through an art gallery to get to my, you know. So it's full of creativity.
Yeah.
It ain't just you see me off the street and be like, oh, that's a dope shirt, I'm gonna go in. You know, which has its ups and its downs because you do miss that drive by or walk by traffic. But when you do come, it's a whole experience.
Right.
You got to walk through an entire curated exhibit of art to then, you know, come to my showroom and catch the vibe back here. And I think that's, I mean, I wouldn't rather have it no other way.
Yeah, I think it's really dope because it makes your store that much more original.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And when you walk through the door and you see the art exhibit at the beginning,
you kind of confused a little bit.
But it kind of at the same time it confused you, but it prepare you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you seeing this art, you like, all right, I'm finna, when I get to the clothing, I know this shit gonna be, this shit gonna be dope, you know what I'm saying? Because it kind of sets you up to see something that's artistic.
And that was the one thing with starting a brand. I didn't just want to put images on the shirt.
Right.
I really gave this shit thought. Like,
yeah, I can tell like this is robotic. This Robotic Minds right here. I love the colorways. I love the material. And honestly, it's like it reminds me of kind of like a Pac-Man, but with your spin on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I definitely love, and we're gonna show a lot of your merchandise throughout this video. But I definitely am a fan.
Appreciate it.
And I want to let that part be known that I'm definitely a fan of what you're doing and your brand.
Word,
you know what I'm saying? I like the concept that you're coming with.
Appreciate
so in 2006, going back to that part, what was the first shirt that you did?
It was the robot I redesigned. And I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to share this with the world. So I printed the shirt up. I printed the shirts up, and it was just a simple robot on the shirt, and the shit just kind of took off. And for a minute, the city was just like, you would go out, you would be out and see people in this shirt, like, what the hell is this robot?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that kind of started.
Because that would make people think that.
Yeah. Like, why is everybody wearing this robot?
Right.
You would see pictures of people with the same shirt on, all together, because it just became a thing. And I just kept going from there.
So what was your first like major look like damn, this thing is actually gaining traction? Was it immediate?
Wiz Khalifa.
Wiz Khalifa?
Wiz Khalifa. And at the time, so I was living in New York at the time, and my man Mike was kind of like helping me run shit here while I was there.
Right.
So I forgot how it happened. I think he hit me up and was like, yo, man, I'm gonna go by the spot and get some stuff. Wiz gonna be in town. I want to bless him with some. And I'm like, shit, say no more, go get it.
Right.
And dude, it might have been like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. He blowing me up. Yo, Wiz got the shirt on. I took it to him in the club, and he instantly put it on.
He seemed like that gotta fit him. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like your brand would fit Wiz. Your brand would fit Lupe. You know what I'm saying? Like it seemed like him embracing it would be a natural thing if he ever caught attention to it.
It was legit, and for a minute, Wiz was rocking with us, man.
That's
until he got on his rock star shit.
Yeah.
Now he do the button ups that come down.
But so that was your first. That was your first good. That was your first major look.
But let me tell you where I messed up though. So Wiz wore the shirt. We got the look. And this was one of my first mistakes in the game. I didn't have the product to sell. I only had a couple of them. And so when he wore it, it was a look and people wanted to buy it, but I didn't have it.
See, you know, I just recently did an interview with Tony from Tony Sports, who ran, for those who don't know, was one of the largest stores for like 20 years straight, making millions of dollars in Chicago. And he said in an interview something similar, that when I think his name Damon Jones, the founder of Fubu,
Damon John.
Yeah,
Damon John.
When he first approached Tony, he was like, man, I want my product in your store. Can you sell it? Then once he picked it up, and along with not just Fubu but a few other brands, and they did an article inside XXL magazine, and the demand for those Fubu shirts and that Fubu and that Fubu outfit and that Carl Canal outfit, they couldn't even. They was building stuff for 6 months down the line, and the phone calls they was getting was for right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Not knowing that they couldn't even manufacture all the orders. So that's something that you personally experienced.
Yeah, and I think that's just a part of the game of, you know, any business. You learn as you go. You know, I didn't have any history in the business, so you know, I was just going, and that was my first mistake. But I wouldn't trade that in for nothing. Like that, you know, that was one of the.
Not to cut you off, but so for just for our younger viewers, some of our younger viewers might be trying to get into the game. What learning point, just since we on this subject right now, what tips would you give them in a situation where that might happen?
Well, first of all, make sure it's something they really want to do. Like, don't just do shit because you see somebody else doing it. Because what happens is, you know, you starting a business, which is entrepreneurship, but if you're doing it for the wrong reason, it'll feel like a job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the very first thing is, if you really want to start a brand, make sure it's like 100% what you want to do and you're passionate about it, because that then prepares you to take the blows that come with starting the business a little better. Like, you know, when that happened, I let the fact that, you know, for one, I was passionate about my brand. You know, I was happy that I had jumped off the porch with it. So I was just happy to have that look. I didn't really focus on the fact that I didn't get the sales from the look, you know, because I was passionate about it. So I let that, like, you know, override the fact that, you know, damn, Wiz wore the shirt, but I ain't getting no sales from it. You know, so that's the very first thing, is make sure it's something you really want to do.
Okay, so did your success of your brand pull you away from management?
It started to.
It started to pull you away from that?
Yeah, because, you know, I was living in other cities doing management and trying to delegate things back in Chicago, which was the home base of the brand.
Right.
But, you know, for anything you just starting up, you got to be around it. You got to be next to it and in it 100%, at least to get it going.
Yeah, you got to be very in tune, especially in the beginning stages.
Yeah, and so, you know, as the brand started growing a little bit and notoriety was picking up, I'm still, you know, in New York at the time, and, you know, trying to make calls back here. It just wasn't working. It wasn't working. So, you know, eventually I had to make a decision, and, you know, I wanted to gamble on myself. And I still had those relationships. That was the most important thing. Like, for the longest, I didn't want to leave the management because the money was good. You know, I'm around these people. I'm getting to do all this ill shit. But not thinking that, you know, if I decide to step out, the relationships ain't going nowhere. You know
you still maintain those, because you've always been a solid dude.
Yeah, 100%.
And that speaks in volumes to our younger audience or anybody that might be watching. Always maintain integrity with the things that you do.
100%.
Because those relationships that you form, you never want to burn bridges. You know, you want to build bridges. And one thing about it is that who you are as a person is worth more than a lot of fame or likes at that moment. You know, you might be seeing a lot of money, but if you're doing it for the wrong reason and it diminish who you are as a person, then it might destroy relationships. But by you being a solid person and keeping integrity about who you are and your relationships with people, that actually helps your brand in the long run.
And then the other part is, nowadays, it's not even just about the product. You know, when you start in a business, people are buying into people. So your reputation, how you carry yourself, you know, how you moving, all of that is rolled into, you know, one of my t-shirts.
The brand.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people may see it and think it's cool, and you know, don't get me wrong, you may have some people that's just like, yo, I like it for what it is. Cool. But a lot of times people want to come shop with me. If I'm not here, you're not getting the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something I learned, that, you know, your reputation and your relationships, man, it's important. It's very important. And nowadays, people just want more for their money. It ain't just about the product. They buying into the person who's creating and selling the product. So
Right. So, okay, you started your brand in 2006 based off the idea that based off the opportunity that you saw, basically. And slowly as it grew, it pulled you away from the management position that you was occupying, and it pulled you more into the fashion direction. And then what was the next step? Did you go 100% in to Robotic Minds?
So the thing with entrepreneurship is you gambling on yourself, and one business is not necessarily enough to sustain you off top. So it wasn't just, I couldn't focus just on Robotic Minds.
Right.
But the good thing about it was, I'm home, I'm in Chicago, I got a space that I can come to every day, but I still had to do other things to make money.
Right.
So, this was at the forefront, but I still had other things going on to, maintain the lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Right.
And because of that, I still have not been able to give Robotic Minds like 100%. I'm up there though. I'm at like 90.
You started this in 2006.
So no, the idea originated in 06. I didn't sell my first shirt until 2010. So that's the other thing. This shit don't happen overnight. Like I was looking at something not too long ago. Diamond Supply started in 98, if I'm not mistaken. In 98. When did you hear about Diamond Supply? Which is one of my favorite brands. Shout out Nikki Diamonds.
Like honestly, when I heard about Diamond Supply, and I'm a supporter of Diamond Supply, I got a lot of their t-shirts. I love what they doing. I would say it was like 2010.
Think about that.
2012.
So you talking about 12 years later from when they started.
Yeah.
So I sat on Robotic Minds. It was dormant for like 4 years. I had incorporated the company because I was excited at first. But then I'm still all the way in sports management. So the company dissolved and I'm still sitting on the idea. I had bought this dumbass chain, spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
I was kind of hustling backwards, but that's all the things I needed to do,
right?
To get
to
here.
learn what you know now.
Yeah, but it don't happen overnight though, for sure.
But so for our audience, I hope you take note of what he just said, that none of this happens overnight. If you starting out in any business, honestly, you can't expect it to pop immediately.
Yeah.
And if it don't
it's
pop,
not realistic.
Yeah, and if it don't pop immediately, that don't mean give up and go to something else. Sometimes that means you might just have to stick with it and roll with the punches and just deal with the struggle and outlast the struggle until you see success. And sometimes that's what it takes, and that's what my man's Kendall right here did, and it paid off in the long run. And I appreciate you sitting down talking with me.
No doubt.
And I definitely want to express that you taking the time out your day to sit down with Flight Skool TV for this interview. You know what I'm saying? But so okay, so you sold your first shirt and
I was out the trunk with it.
Okay.
2010.
Then
that's funny.
What happened after that? Like how did you end up having a store?
So it went from the trunk to my crib. I had an extra bedroom in my crib, and I kind of made that the office and where I stored everything. And then I had people coming to the crib, but I'm like, all right, this kind of weird.
Right,
because it's going outside of my friends now. It's friends of friends, and this is where I sleep.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I can't do that. So I ended up putting up some bread and getting a spot at Lacuna. And how I even found out about Lacuna was through my man Hebru Brantley. He had a dope ass studio over there, and the building was really dope. And it was for creatives, just spaces on, I think they had like maybe 5 levels or something like that, but it was spaces for creatives and businesses. And I went and got me a showroom over there, and that's where I started, pushing the traffic to come and support the brand.
That's so okay. You started out the trunk basically,
100%
to out the crib, and then your clientele was like growing,
Yeah.
and you like, man, I can't have strangers in the
Right.
crib.
Yeah.
So then you went towards a space that was for a lot of art and creatives.
Yep.
And you mentioned Hebru, and I know like you doing a lot of work with Hebru.
Yeah.
I actually seen a t-shirt collaboration or a hoodie collaboration that you did. What year was that?
Dude, I forgot when Hebru did that design, man. It's been around a long time. I want to say
That design is dope,
Yeah.
bro. Like if you had them shirts right now, bro, like I would buy two. Stock one, rock one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I definitely sold a gang of them joints.
Yeah,
I
because
ain't
when
gonna
you
front.
showed me the picture, I'm like, man, that joint right there is tough.
Yeah, that was a to me a true like Chicago collaboration.
Yeah.
At the time, Hebru wasn't like where he is now. So I think we were both just like, trying to get it. And he respected my vision for the brand. He rocked with it enough to take time to design for it. Of course, I had to pay him. And I think at that point, he was definitely the highest paid designer that I had like broken bread with.
You like,
but it was all worth it though,
Right,
because
right.
the amount of those shirts I sold over the years, and it's a design that I have. So as he continued to grow, I can make that shirt forever.
Right.
Forever. And
Right.
so, it was worth the investment.
So you mentioned that you never really had time to give Robotic Minds 100% of your time. When do you see a day where you could do that?
I don't know, man, because and when I say I don't know, I don't mean that in like, will I ever be able to give my brand, full attention? No. But I'm at a point now where I need help.
Right.
Or where I've,
You need
acquired
to
help.
expand
Yeah.
the team.
Excuse me, yeah, exactly. So I got a few people that I work with that I'm putting in position to make up that 10%,
Right.
that I can't because I
Right.
got my hands in other pots.
Right.
So that's where I am now. So you will see, Robotic Minds reach its full potential. I think we're in a great space now. We reinvented the brand. It's dope as hell now. New logo, new mantra, more minimalistic.
I like, man, and the space that you got is beautiful.
Yeah.
Man. It's a nice
I
space.
redid this. The whole
Yeah.
everything. This is totally different. So if you see this like the whole create, destroy, rebuild.
What does that mean to you?
The mantra that I'm rolling with. So not only is this the brand's mantra, but it's also something that I've actually done. So I'm not preaching something that I ain't did.
Right.
So what I created, I completely destroyed to rebuild again.
Right.
My brand looks nothing like it did when I first started.
Right.
That coloring book page that the original logo came from.
Right.
My new logo don't look nothing like it.
'Cause
But I needed that to get here though.
We had an off-camera conversation where you said you had an Instagram page for Robotic Minds, and you took the whole page down and just started over.
Yeah, I literally destroyed.
You literally destroyed and rebuilt.
Yep, 100%. And I think that's necessary though. Like if you think about it, what do we get right the first time every time? That's
hardly anything.
Exactly. So it's okay to start something, make some tweaks, and go, nah, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna do it another way. Let me scrap that and then rebuild it.
Okay, It's one thing that popped in my mind. What drew you to want to collaborate with Hebru? This is keep in mind this is before the Hebru that we know now.
This was like 08.
Right.
This is 08, 09.
Like Hebru is that guy now.
Yeah.
But like you did a collaboration with him before he reached this level of success. What drew you to collaborate with him?
Man, I think just being a fellow creative and that whose work I respected. I saw he was grinding, man. Dude, his work ethic is unmatched. And even back then, it makes sense to why he's where he is now.
Right, because you see the work he put in.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think at that time it was just, man, dude is dope. He's painting, he does graphics as well. We had chopped it up about, what he had going on, what I had going on. And I think he might have offered, or I may have asked, you know, for his help. And he was like, I got you. Just pay me this high ass amount of money and I got you.
But it ended up being worth it.
But it was worth it, 100%.
So how do you feel about the scene of Chicago, you being from Chicago? How do you feel? Because me personally, I feel like what you did with Hebru, I feel like we should see more of that. More of Chicago's people collabing. Yeah. It's like, we don't have to be like, oh, this your audience, this is my audience, you stick to your side of the fence, I stay on my side. The way you approach that collaboration with Hebru, I think that's a beautiful thing for the city. You know, because we living in times of so much division. And I think that collaborations right now, like you see it everywhere. You know, with whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's clothing. Like you look at Atlanta, places like Atlanta, all the Atlanta artists are collaborating with each other. Get money together. Even the ones that had problems with each other are patching it up and collabing now.
Because they see the bigger picture.
They see the bigger picture. So how do you feel about the scene of Chicago right now?
I don't think we've gotten there yet. I think a lot of the shorties are doing it.
Right.
But like, you know, some of the pioneers and, you know, even the you know, the group of people in between them, because I feel like I'm in the middle of the shorties, and like the OGs of the shit.
You like right on, you like right in the middle understand both.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, you know, they have kind of gotten it. Like you see Chance and Herbo working together, or, you know, doing shit together. But I mean, I don't know, man. But I think it's definitely a thing that needs to it needs to happen. But I think it would have worked out a lot better if it would have came down from like the older guys. And
from the bigger brands.
Yeah, it would have become a tradition.
If the bigger brands set the standard for the younger guys, it would have. It's more impactful.
1,000%.
So you agree with me that we should see more collaborations in Chicago? Do you think that'll happen?
I think it could. I just think it's gonna take the right people to do it. You know, people that have the most influence should be at the forefront of that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's who the up and comers are looking at. Exactly. You know, if they don't see you collaborating with fellow brands, then they not gonna do it.
Yeah, they gonna do what I'm saying. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it the same way they did.
Exactly. But and the crazy thing is the people actually want to support everybody.
Right.
I'm not just going.
That's a fact.
Yeah, one person ain't just gonna wear Robotic Minds forever.
Right.
So it's cool, man. While I'm down this way, I'm gonna stop by you. I'm gonna go holler at Fashion Geek, Corey over there on Madison.
Right.
That's how it should be.
Right.
And people want that. People buy into unity.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So the power of collaboration,
and you can see it. You can see it like when that's why I think big corporations get it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like Nike is collabing with Virgil. Nike is collabing with Sean Weatherspoon. Puma is collabing with Dave East and Rihanna and you know, Rock Nation. And you see all these collaboration with these big corporations. They get it because they are bringing two audiences together.
Exactly.
And building one thing, but still maintaining they separate brands.
So if big brands can do it, why ain't it the same idea on the lower level?
That's why I asked you about the Chicago thing. Like, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, like it definitely should happen more, man. 100%.
And you not just saying that it should happen. You actually did it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? You actually did a collaboration with Hebru.
And continue to do it. Yeah.
Right.
And again, like, it ain't just about collabing with somebody that's already at a point, because at that time Brew wasn't Brew. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
exactly.
It needs to be authentic and, you know, genuine. Don't force nothing.
Right.
But, you know, if you got a connection with a fellow creative, man, put that together and bring both worlds together, make some money together, and show other creatives in Chicago that can happen.
And I believe that if we ever see that moment happen in Chicago, I believe it'll do even more than just like make money.
Yeah.
I think it'll start making all the street stuff
Yeah.
dissolve a little bit,
Yep.
because you know what I'm saying, like it's showing unity.
Yep.
It's showing like we can come together.
Yep.
We might not agree on everything,
And that's
but we
cool.
can come together
Yep.
and sit at the table and chop it up and get a bag.
Yep.
So I totally agree, and I think that should happen more often. So, like, what brands did you know and see while you was like come up in Chicago? Like you from Chicago, you started the idea of your Robotic Minds in 06, but you sold your first shirt a couple years after that. But there was Chicago brands before that. So what brands were you looking at in Chicago and shopping with before that? Because I see you got the Leaders hat on.
I was gonna say probably Leaders, and I say Leaders because, bro, Leaders is like the hub of all the Chicago creatives, man. At one point, everybody that did something or ended up doing something, you went and you hung out at Leaders. You met another creative at Leaders, whether it was art, music, or fashion. Everybody went through Leaders.
Man, and shout out to Corey and Diego for creating that vibe.
Yeah.
Because when
it was necessary.
When you walk into Leaders, you don't feel like a customer. You feel like
you at the crib. You at home.
You at the crib and you talking to family.
And you walked in to like strangers, but they were family. Like you got embraced like family.
Right. They have a conversation with you that don't got nothing to do with their product.
Right. And I don't think Leaders gets the respect that it deserves to this day, being like the platform for a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? You name anybody you want to name from Chicago, you know, that shit, it went through Leaders, man. And I feel like
that's fact.
I feel like Corey and, you know, all of the Leaders guys deserve that credit because they brought a lot of us together.
I've been trying to get Corey to do an interview. Maybe one day I'm gonna get him. Because I really need to let the city know and all my viewers know how important Leaders is to Chicago and how many careers and just creative people in general have spawned from the Leaders legacy.
Yeah.
You know,
Corey, you were supposed to let me and Drew from Instrumental do the Leaders documentary. You gave us your word. We doing it. We don't give a damn what you say. All right? And shout out my man Drew from Instrumental too.
Yeah,
that's
man.
my dude. He got one of the dopest brands in Chicago too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Instrumental.
Instrumental,
yeah.
I gotta make sure I look them up, man.
Super dope.
That's what's up, man. So right now, we at a point where Robotic Minds is getting back into motion.
Yeah.
Like you said, you never had time to really give it your 100%.
Yeah.
But right now, it's getting back in motion.
Yeah.
And you expand. You about to expand the team.
Yeah.
So what should the people get ready for to embrace themselves for?
Man, I don't want to get too much away because I got some ideas.
Yeah. Don't give away the secret to the sauce.
And the squad is really strong. You know, everybody you know, is willing to play their role and bring what they bring to the table. But I feel the best I've ever felt when it comes to the potential of Robotic Minds currently today. The direction of the brand is crazy. The new logo is crazy. You know, I plan on getting into more than clothes. Like, I think now I have the ability to transition into other lifestyle things and collectibles, and, you know, outside of just t-shirts and hoodies and, you know, clothes and shit.
Considering the experience that you've had since 2008, I mean, it pretty much set you up and gave you all the tools necessary to have the understanding of your next move to execute it the right way. So I'm anxious to see what's next.
And the other thing that I realized that I had to do, man, because when you're a creative, sometimes you let your vision kind of override what you need to do.
Right.
But, you know, I'm 35, man. I had to bring in the youth to, you know, help carry this on. Like,
that's one thing that get overlooked.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but that's one thing that get overlooked is that people are so dismissive of the youth.
Yep.
But the youth,
and they so necessary.
The youth is so necessary.
So necessary.
You cannot dismiss them.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at Tupac, Huey P. Newton.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the most powerful people were in their early 20s.
Or late
teens.
When he died, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And made some of his best music in his early 20s.
Bro, and that shit still blows my mind to this day. I did not know he was that young.
That's what I'm saying.
I swear I did.
But it's so many people that dismiss the youth.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I can appreciate like what your brand, what you stand for. You understand that. And I see leaders. They embrace they embrace the youth when they walk in a store.
Yeah, everybody that was somebody
fashion
was
geek.
A shorty. Like
Zoe and Al, they get it. They understand the power of the youth. And I feel like the youth is responsible for building
100%.
Fashion Geek to where it is right now.
Yeah.
Because the youth embraced it, was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this every day to school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now it is what it is.
I mean, think about it. As a shorty, that was your main concern. Being fresh.
Right.
You know, you have a right to be materialistic at that age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where you're a lot younger, you don't have many responsibilities. So that's why they'll always push, you know, fashion forward, music, art, everything, because that's what they should be concerned about at that age. You know what I'm saying? When you're younger. But when them bills come, all of that shit change.
Real. You gotta start putting things in perspective, man.
Word.
Trust me, I done seen that firsthand. But one question that I always ask people in my interviews is that, do you feel Chicago get the respect it deserves? Now, before you answer, let me put context to that question.
Okay.
Like, what I mean by that is that you see New York getting exclusive drops. They got the Fashion Week. You know, Virgil dropped the Off-White Jordan 1s exclusively in Paris. Yeah. You know, and you don't see those type of exclusive things happening in Chicago. But yet you see all our creatives everywhere. You see from Virgil, Kanye, Don C, Hebru, Kendall from Robotic Minds, Zoe and Al from Fashion Geeks, Corey and Diego at Leaders. You see, like, there's so many influencers. I mean, even going to the music, Chance the Rapper, Vic Mensa, Chief Keef, Lil Durk. You know what I'm saying?
We heavy.
That's what I'm saying. And like, our slang is everywhere, but yet we don't get those exclusive drops and things like that. Do you feel like Chicago get the respect it deserves?
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's a result of us not working together and building our culture. Like, yeah, we are, you know, rightfully so. New York is a bigger market, LA is a bigger market. So from that standpoint, cool.
Right.
But we are very heavy in a lot of industries, music, art, fashion, and we should get more respect than we do. But when you come here, it's all of this fucking segregation amongst, you know, the creatives that is, you don't really know. I mean, if you drop something, you don't know who gonna come out, you know, who not gonna come out. And that's a result of us not working together. Right. So that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. And until that shit happens and, you know, we start coming together, then it's gonna continue to be that way. So all of the other markets gonna get the drops first.
So you feel like until Chicago starts showing strength and unity
amongst each other,
we would never get that respect that we truly deserve.
Right. I mean, we gonna get it because, you know, we're good at what we do.
I mean, it's a lot of creatives coming out of Chicago, whether, it doesn't matter if you just talk about fashion, you talk about entrepreneurs, you're talking about musicians and artists, You talking about hustlers and
Yep.
gangsters.
Yep.
Like no matter what, it's Chicago is known for a lot of things,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of people that's making it big in the city.
Yep.
So you think it's gonna take for a sign of unity
Yeah. Because again,
to
that's
bring
what
that
people
respect.
buy into. That's what consumers buy into. That's what brands buy into. So if we moving on one accord, shout out to J Boogie.
Shout out to J Boogie.
If we move on one accord, then you'll have people wanting to rock with us for that reason.
Right.
You know,
It'll make our city look that much more better.
appealing. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So in closing, I want you to let the people know where they can find you if they're looking to purchase any merchandise that they see during this interview. If they want to buy into Robotic Minds, where can they find you?
First and foremost, the World Wide Web, roboticminds.co. You know, if you're not in Chicago, if you're not local, you can go there and get what you need.
And that's roboticminds.co, not com.
Right, .co. Yep.
Right.
And then we have our showroom on 18th, 643 West 18th Street. Stop by. You're going to walk through the gallery first, and then we got the showroom in the back. We got the Sonos on, so the music always on. The vibe is insane.
Yeah.
And we might have some drinks or something in here. I don't know. It's
I seen the bar over there. I seen the bar over there.
We always got it. We always got a vibe in here. So.
And if you miss it, it's on 18th Street, like he said. It's right across from the Shell.
That's the best reference point.
Right.
Right across from the Shell.
Right
gas
across
station.
from the Shell. Look right across, because it's a gallery. It's a small, embracing environment.
Yep.
So you might miss it on your first glance, but it's right across the street from the Shell gas station. And if you can't make it to Chicago, you can always shop online, roboticminds.co.
Yep.
Not .com. Make sure you pay attention to that. You just met the man Kendall, owner and creator of Robotic Minds, and he gonna move on to do bigger and better things. And I just want to say I thank you for sitting here with me and giving me a little bit of your time, bro. And I hope everybody support Robotic Minds, because you see this man is a solid guy.
100%.
That's Flight Skool TV, man. We out.
Yep.